Right, it's now time to summarize as we have come to the end of this topic on cloud application design. Right, we have looked at design considerations for cloud application development. Under that, it is important to remember that components must be loosely coupled. You also need to have asynchronous communication, and also components must be stateless. They must not remember what happened in the last execution. In other words, they don't remember their state, the last time they were executing. And you do that by storing the information outside the more components themselves. Also, you need to choose the right database for the right application. In that case, right, in terms of scalability, you should know that scalability, reliability, security are important aspects or considerations for cloud applications. And we also looked at reference architectures specifically for e-commerce, content delivery apps, and compute-intensive apps. We then looked at the three methodologies that are more suitable. Only the service-oriented architecture and the model view controller have been around for much longer than the cloud. It's only the cloud component model that is probably specifically developed for the cloud. And I would recommend students in this course to follow the cloud component model because it does incorporate both aspects of service-oriented architecture and also model view controller. If you look carefully at the cloud component model, you can embed model view controller. You can also see that there were lots of similarities between service-oriented architecture and the cloud component model. Right, so it is important to look at that. Right, now having come to the end of the topic, you have a tutorial with normally tutorials are aimed at checking that you have understood this topic. So here we have just a few questions that allow you to revise the concepts covered in this topic. In the lab practical work, you must watch videos on AWS Academy. Focus on module 5 and 6. And of course, these modules don't necessarily have to be associated with the topic. They could be on different topic. But it's practical aspects of this course. You must also do the knowledge quizzes, modules 5 and 6, under module 5 and 6. Also, there are very interesting demos. You should watch demos for the first one in module 5 is on Visual Private Cloud, and also Elastic Compute EC2 modules, in other words, virtual machines in AWS. Then you need to do 2 labs. The first lab, which is lab 2 in module 5, lab 3 is in module 6. Lab 2 is of course on building your own virtual private network and launch a web server. And lab 3 is introduction to Amazon EC2, which allow you to create virtual machines, of course. It's likely that you will install a Linux one, not a Windows one, unless maybe. Then, of course, there is an activity on AWS Lambda, which allow you to create functions, executable functions in the cloud. You can just invoke those functions sometimes. So that is in module 6. So that activity is very important because when you are writing Internet of Things, you might want to simply create some of these Lambda functions. So it's important for you to do that activity as well. With that, I conclude this video. Please feel free to ask any questions in the class forum and generate discussions around any issues that come up around with the rest of the class. If there is also any concept that you want to get clarification on, especially relating to the topic, please also post in the in the forum, or you can contact the lecturer. You can contact me directly. Although if it's a question relating to a topic, it will be good to for me to answer it in the class, so that everyone else can get the answers as well. So it's important to look at to also generate discussion in class about what this topic is about. You will notice that when you develop your cloud applications, especially in the assignment 2, which is about the cloud only, you could adopt some of the methods that have come up here and be able to draw the simplest methodology, which is easy for you to understand, is the cloud component model with only 3 steps. Identify your components. In other words, you have 3 tiers and your components, and you can identify, create a diagram like that, create an architecture, and then deployment diagram. Those are easy to understand. Anyone would easily understand how your application is structured, so it doesn't let you bogged down into almost anything. So it's important for you to at least come up with key requirements for your application, identify the components, create an architecture based on interaction between the components, and then your deployment model. So you are free to use some of the types that we've covered here as templates too, but it must be put in the context of your project. Right. So if you guys have any problems relating to your particular assignment, you can contact me. I am also available for video conferencing if you need more detailed help, which probably I would prefer to typing long emails. So with that, we end this session, this recording.